What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Streckbein, joined always by my main man, Jacob Punturi. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talkers. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. The Pittsburgh Steelers got the injury news that we've been waiting 2.5 weeks for. Well, it is here, it is back, and potentially so is their first round pick. Meanwhile, the quarterback class is not looking good, which brings up some serious questions about if the Pittsburgh Steelers have some decisions to make now and later regarding the first pick, or their first pick, the 2026 NFL draft. And it's Friday, which means that it's time for some picks and some predictions. And I'm very excited for this one. The Pittsburgh Steelers head to New England tomorrow. They will take on the New England Patriots, the 1-1 New England Patriots, on Sunday in a game that many are declaring already a must-win for the black and gold. We'll dive into all of it, plus more. It's about to rain outside here in the Berg, but it's still a good one. You were at practice today. How you feeling, my friend?
Man, I tell you what, the sun just drains me. I feel like I don't even know, like a sponge that's been left out in the sun whenever I go to practice, because I'm just by the time I get back home, I'm just like, I want to lay down. I want to just maybe be bathed lightly in cool water for the next 8 to 12 hours. It was a nice, beautiful day over at the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex. Don't get me wrong. My body is just not meant to be in these climates. I just wasn't made for these times. But it was a great day watching the Steelers make their final preparations for week 3 here. It was exciting to talk to some of the players. I have one question for you before we get into anything.
Hit me with it.
There was some chatter in the locker room about basketball being played and who would be the best basketball player on the Steelers. I don't know if you've thought about this before or who you would take, but I have one clear answer on who I think would be the best basketball player in the Pittsburgh Steelers locker room.
Give me your answer, because I know some of these guys who played basketball, so I might have. I want your answer first.
This is with no knowledge of anyone's basketball skills at all. I'm taking Darnell Washington, and we were playing bully ball every single possession. You know what I mean? Like that.
That's a good one.
You just put that gigantic man in the post. Oh, good luck.
All right, so I'm going to give you the one guy that may be able to hang with him down low and potentially shoot the outside, and is definitely going to jump over everybody in the building. I think I'm going DK Metcalf. I think I'd go DK, right? Like, I just feel like that might be the LeBron James to your Shaq.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a dominant man. That'd be a fun time. I'll toss a bet, another one at you. Who is it's you, Darnell Washington. Who's your third from the Steelers media?
Oh, man, I feel like there's a sneaky answer here. There's someone who can hoop or hooped back in the day. But I'll let me be a big old suck up. I'd take my good old partner.
No. You can't.
I would take
I'm
you.
Facing
no,
you.
I can't.
Me and DK are on the other side here. You got to take somebody.
Wow.
You got to take somebody else.
All right. The friendship's been spurned. I understand. Give me I tell you what, give me Brian Batko. I feel like that boy could make a steal at a very opportune time. And we could just, again, we're feeding the bully ball. So we just got to get the ball down to Darnell and we make it happen on defense. Who are you taking? Am I missing somebody that's like a baller?
I was kind of hoping you didn't take Batko, because he's in a men's basketball league. The guy balls. He knows what's up. Just like oddly always athletic. Man, that's a good question. I to be honest, I'm going 2 big men down low. I'm sticking with the one and the only. I'm playing point guard, and we're doing a little pick and roll all day long. Me, DK Metcalf, Mark Kaboom Kaboli, and until the Achilles rip in half again, we're good. You know what I mean? Nobody's winning the paint game against me in this squad. I'm going big Kaboom there. I think that's I'll run point all day. You know what I mean? I'll run point all day long and feel good about it. Shout out, bro. Shout out to back home. They don't even know. They didn't even know this was coming today.
No,
I hope they enjoyed it. I hope their ears are ringing, as my mom would say. Hope their ears are ringing in a good way. Let's talk some Pittsburgh Steelers football. the news of the day is Derek Harmon is officially questionable for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is, and this is not a report, this is just what is being talked about throughout the week, seen at practice. He is expected to play on Sunday for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin came into the week, said that he wasn't super optimistic, but was hopeful for Derek Harmon. Terrell Austin said that if he did play, it'd be in a snap count role. I'm going to be honest, I don't believe either of those guys. Derek Harmon's going to be back on the field as my expectation, and I think with Isaiah Loudermilk being out, he's going to play a ton in New England. You were there today. You saw the final look at the guy. What was your takeaways from him? Do you feel he's ready to go? Do you expect him to be on the field at Gillette Stadium this Sunday?
I don't know what the requirements are to be ready for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, I'm obviously not on their training staff, but based off of what I saw today, I would be shocked if he is not at least an active player for Sunday. Again, that's not a report that's not being confirmed by the team in any sort of way, just to be very crystal clear about that. But I mean, he was a very I did not see the injury report before we hopped on here, but I don't know. Was he listed as a full participant today or as a limited participant? Did you see that? No worries.
You talk, I'll look it up.
That sounds good. Either way, he was on the field. He was involved from the very beginning, and he was involved in critical moments during the practice session that indicated to me that they are probably pretty close to having him ready for games. So, I mean, if the bar to return to game action is being a part of that Friday walkthrough in a serious capacity, that tells me he's probably going to play against the New England Patriots. If it is just a next step that they need him to take, they need him to be as close to ready as possible. And then the week after that is when they bring him in. That could be the case still, but all signs from my point of view point towards Derek Harmon making his NFL debut against New England Patriots. And boy, that is an exciting prospect.
Huge. He was a full participant today. I think that's as clear as it gets. Yeah, this guy's ready to go. He's been slowly working his way back. It's so understated how big of a move that is for the Pittsburgh Steelers to get this kid back. They have not had a good defensive line. That is not a secret to anybody. They have not had a good defense. That is not a secret to anybody. TJ Watt has been nowhere to be found. That's not a secret to anybody. You just added a guy who comes in here who is really good at stopping the run, is also a very quality pass rusher, and is going to sit himself right next to TJ on the opposite side of Cam Hayward to say, oh, now there is no quote unquote weak link. Obviously, Keanu Benton is a question mark right now, and things are not looking good when it comes to Keanu. But if you got the option for Derek Harmon, the option for Cam Hayward, I like Nick Herbig. I expect to see a lot of Jack Sawyer as well, and then TJ Watt. You're four out of five that feel pretty good about what they can do out there. I think Keanu's been the biggest step backwards, the biggest hole for the Steelers defense so far, but I don't want to act like Isaiah Loudermilk and company were out there just like being stars and there was nothing to worry about. No, it was something big to worry about when they were out there. I think having Derek Harmon's out there, and I expect him to play a lot. Do you think that with Derek Harmon back, this opens the door for a little bit more of Y.A. Black play in the nose tackle position, which is what I think a lot of people want to see right now?
I wouldn't get my hopes up. I think there might be some slightly more utilization of him in that role, but by more, I mean 1 or 2 snaps. Like, I don't think we're looking at it like, oh, Y.A. Black took the next step and is now the definitive person in the middle.
No.
I think what's more likely is that whenever the Steelers do go into their like coverage packages, they're not going to be in their base package a ton. And I think Derek Harmon and Cam Hayward are going to end up being the 2 guys down on the line there. And that is probably going to mean that Y.A. Black's not on the field in a lot of situations. But I do expect that, again, those 1 to 2 extra snaps of him being the nose tackle and some obvious running situations should pop up here. And again, that's a big step. I don't want to discount that at all.
No.
It's just, I don't want to put the cart before the horse, so to speak.
I agree, but I do think that it opens the door, just like you said, to allow him to start making himself known in the middle more. It removes the excuse of, well, we need somebody to play the 3 technique. Well, first off, it should be Keanu Benton, but second off, now that excuse is gone. Derek Harmon's out there, and you could allow him to move it. We could talk TJ all day long. I think it's now you have another option that I think you believe in at the nose tackle to just work with Keanu. Like you said, he's not going to start. He's not going to take over the position there, but Keanu starts to struggle in a game and they're making adjustments. They now have him who could go out there and be reinforcements from time to time. And I think even that slight bit of help, and like when he did it last week and when he did it the week before that, it's him there with Isaiah Loudermilk next to him. Like, that's a bad looking defensive line. It's a very bad looking defensive line. You put him in the middle with Derek Harmon and Cam Hayward. Oh, okay. Yeah. Now this is a high quality defensive line that we have some room to adjust and talk to. I think Derek Harmon's going to be a huge boost here. What's your expectation on how much he plays? Do you think it's as limited as they say, or do you think that he's going to be out there in I don't want to say full capacity, but percentage 1 to 100? Where are you sitting on Derek Harmon?
I think I'm closer to where the coaches have been the past couple of days on him, and limited. I don't want to say there's going to be a snap count that's going to be very low. I think he'd play maybe half of the snaps if I had to put a guess on it. But I don't feel very confident. I will also posit in that being the case. I think they've clearly been ramping him up over the past couple of days. So I think if he responds well to whatever maybe slightly limited usage that happens in the first half, let's say against the New England Patriots, I could certainly see that usage increasing, to just being on the field for every snap that he can handle in the second half. And then we're just talking about him being the starter moving forward. At the same time, if there's any hesitation, if there's any slight sort of aggravation to the injury or anything that looks a little bit distressing, they're going to pull him back, but I think it's important. They want to get him on the field. And, if we've learned anything, or if I've learned anything from kind of looking at the New England Patriots defensive success so far when they've had it, it's from getting, pressure along the interior of the defensive line, and they have lacked that completely. So getting Derek Harmon back in there in any capacity is going to be helpful.
Huge. Absolutely huge. I think it starts slow. By the end of the game, he's playing all the time, because I think that's what it's going to come down to, is the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to realize very quickly they need Derek Harmon out there, and they're not going to hold back. And if they do, it's a classic Mike Tomlin does things that hurts his team type of situation, because again, there's no need. If he's a full participant in practice, put him on the field. That's how I view it. That's how I continue to view it. All right. Let's transition here to talk some quarterback and some decisions that the Pittsburgh Steelers will have to make. Everybody's talking, and we are talking first-round quarterback in next year's draft. Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers right now are a team that's 1-1. They have clear issues on the defensive side of the football, some obvious issues on the offensive side of the football as well. The 33rd team, Steve Palazzolo, pointed out that, well, while we, and by we, I mean me and you, are excited about the quarterback class this season, we may be wrong. He said this, quote, "You start with Arch Manning, who everybody just projected, and it's way worse than we expected. I know this happens every year. Wait till next year. There's 7 first-rounders, and then the football games happen, and it's not the case. Manning obviously looks awful. Probably going back to Texas. Lenore Sellers, great runner, still needs to polish up his game as a thrower. He might be going back to South Carolina, and he's banged up. Garrett Nussmeier hasn't looked good at all. John Mateer is interesting. What are we talking about? He looks fantastic. Fernando Mendoza is off to a good start, and we'll see this week against Illinois. We could talk the quarterbacks and argue with them all day. That's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about this. If the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking at the class the same way that Steve Palazzolo is, does it open the door for the Steelers to say we have options now with that first round pick and other picks, because maybe Mateer's going second, Mendoza's going first, and that's all we got in this draft class? and allows them to do things like, I don't know, call the Giants for Dexter Lawrence, who, just thanks to our buddy Jack Markowski, who, big New York Giants guy, said, the Giants, they might take a second and a third in Keanu Benton for New York. That feels like a move. Does it open the door for more options for the Steelers if they view the quarterback class the same way that Steve Palazzolo does?
It 100% gives them more options, and I think it just allows them to be more aggressive, but just focus in a different direction. Because like, look, here's how I'm breaking it down. The Pittsburgh Steelers, if they're like any smart organization, like they just want to get better and pursue a championship year in and year out. If the quarterback class is not this heroic class that's going to come into the NFL next year, that's okay.
Yeah.
There's probably other positions that are going to have major impact players. The point of next year's draft for me is to get an immediate starter. I don't really care. I have a preference for that position, but at the end of the day, I don't really care. I just want it to be a starting player, and really that goes for any team, I would imagine. So, if they can widen out their focus and go from looking at just quarterbacks in the first round and how can they get up into the ideal position to draft the guy that is best suited for their organization, put all their eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Maybe now they're able to be freed up and say, oh, okay, we're not worried about quarterback, but now here's this tackle that we really like. Here's this linebacker, someone in the secondary, someone, name a position that we really like, or this is a group that is suddenly loaded and playing
Yeah.
much better than the quarterbacks are. You can be aggressive and you don't have to move up to pick 7. Maybe you only have to move up 2 picks to get that player. So
Yes.
I think it allows them to be way more aggressive, and it just honestly takes a lot of the pressure off of the first round for the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2026, which just between now and April is just going to build. And it already has a huge amount of pressure on it, 7-8 months out. So that's my take on it. I imagine you feel kind of similarly, but I'd love to hear more of what you have to say.
I do feel very similarly. My thought is very simple. It's too early. And again, it's like wide receiver, it's like everything else. I'm not ready to jump the gun and say that they suck. Just like I'm not ready to jump the gun and make a wide receiver trade. I'm ready to ride this thing out another week or two. I think you got till week 5. I think week 5 is your desperation week of like, okay, like we're going to get to picks here in a little while. If the Steelers lose this week and they're 1-2 and you go to Ireland, whether you win or lose, week 5 is we have a week off. We need to make things happen. There's no more. You're not trading for somebody while you're in Dublin. What are you doing? Flying them over? No, like you're waiting until week 5. You are going to use that week as your desperation week if you lose this week. If you look fantastic this week and fantastic next week and you just needed time to adjust, cool. Then you didn't jump the gun and you didn't waste draft picks. But if you don't look great in the next 2 weeks, then you use that bye week and you say things like, okay, how does the class look? Is it trending in the right direction? No, it's not. Cool. Where can we use draft capital now to build a team that's ready now? Because this team is old. We are not going to start from the ground up. Art Rooney's going to kill us if we do that. And we need to make things happen today. So how do we do that? Who are the options? And I think that's where you go from it. I think that we have 2 weeks before it's not a fire sale. They won't sell anybody, but before it's a where do you go to get the rest of your pieces? And I really do. I think that if the quarterback class stinks, I'm calling New York. It's the first place I'm calling is New York. Hey, what's Dexter Lawrence worth? And how do I get him on my roster? All right, you want this? Great. Sounds good. Send him on over. We'll ship him to Dublin. Like, we'll be back on Monday. We'll meet him at the gate. I don't care, dude. I'm calling for that. He's 27. He makes so much sense. There are other options out there that make sense as well. Now, I'm not calling for Tyreek Hill. I think that's a little bit ridiculous. And I also saw the Florio thing, which is hilarious. But you go and you use week 5 as your baseline, and then you go from there. And if things change between week 5 and the rest of it, okay, fine. But I also I don't know. I look at it and say right now is too early to start jumping guns on anything. And week 5 is again, you're 2 weeks off, but week 5 is when you make some moves. That's in my head what you do.
Yeah, no. I think that's the not jumping the gun is important there. I think that's you nailed it on the head there.
I definitely agree. And people will, and they are in the comments here. Will Howard. I don't think you use Will Howard as any baseline at all because I think you're taking a risk on a guy. But I do think that you monitor the class and you kind of go from there. All right. With that said, it's Friday. And you know what time it is. It's time to make our selections for week 3. Pittsburgh Steelers, New England Patriots. Coming into the show, we ran through the thing. We ran through our list. Yep, we're going to talk this. We're going to talk this, and then we're going to make our picks. And Jacob said, man, I don't know what my pick's going to be, and it's going to be a long 15 minutes. I gave you 21 minutes. 21 minutes to mull through these bad boys, and I'm very excited to see what you got. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots sit 1-1 heading into week 3 at Gillette Stadium, where the Steelers do not have a great record against the New England Patriots, but it's the first time they're playing Mike Vrabel, their former draft pick out of Ohio State. It is the first time that they will play what I believe is a New England Patriots team with a new set of weapons and a new atmosphere because Gerard Mayo was not good. Meanwhile, the Pittsburgh Steelers are in desperation mode to figure this thing out, and only you, me, and God himself can all guess whether or not they're going to do it because nobody knows. The Steelers head in to Gillette Stadium, 1.5 point favorites with a 44.5 over under at Foxborough. I'm going to give you the floor, my friend. What do you got?
Wow. And Noah was absolutely correct. I have been mulling this over all day and was hoping that I would find some sort of enlightenment in these opening minutes here, hanging out with the picnic pack. And I haven't reached that, to be quite honest. But here's my best guess. I think as much as I want to pick the Steelers, in my heart
Yes.
of hearts, I just
Yes.
cannot do it this week. I just cannot do it. And I'm sorry. I think we are going to see another game hitting the over. That seems to be the
Okay.
case here. But I
Okay.
think it's going to be closer. I just think
Let's hope.
I hope it's not going to be 31-17. That is for sure. I think it's going to be really like a 3-point game. And
Okay.
in my mind, I am picking a 24-21 loss to the New England Patriots. It's going to be slightly better. It's going to be an incremental step in terms of the defense, not surrendering 30 points. And
Yeah.
hopefully the offense has some more balance.
It's a
But
boost.
I mean, it's a boost. It's a little bit better, but I don't think it's going to be the overnight change that I desperately hope it to be.
Yeah.
And I think, the Steelers do drop to 1-2, but they motivated as hell heading over to Ireland. That's for sure.
Does Boz get an opportunity to win it at the end, or does the Steelers defense, how does this end? 24-21. How does it end? How does the game end?
Here's like my Nostradamus like prediction, like looking into the crystal ball here. I think the Steelers offense starts well. They maybe put up 14 points in the first half and then kind of get stifled in the second half.
Oh.
And then they're not able to just like capitalize on the momentum that they have. Maybe they get another random touchdown in the third quarter. They're up 21-14 at some point, and then the New England Patriots just have a nice drive in the fourth quarter, tie it up. They get the ball back with a couple extra minutes, and then bingo bango, we're sitting there going, man, probably a game they should win, but
Yeah.
Patriots just got them.
But they got him. Okay. All right. I'm going to be very honest with all of you. Jacob already knows this. I sit very closely to the side of a loss here. I sit very closely. There is little faith in me when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers defense right now until proven otherwise. I think they do enough. This is where I go with this. This is where my head turns. I think the defense stands out enough in this game to figure itself out to some degree. It's not a great game, but it's to some degree enough to hold you below the golden rule of 20 points. So the Patriots sit at 17. The Steelers, on the other hand, their offense is about to be old school Pittsburgh Steelers football. Because in my head, week 1 was the revenge game, and I said there's no chance that this was Aaron Rodgers' Super Bowl. And then in week 2, I was like, it wasn't Aaron Rodgers' Super Bowl. It was everybody else's Super Bowl, because where the hell did everybody else go? Why do they stink now? And it felt like old school Pittsburgh Steelers. And by old school, I mean the last 7 years of Pittsburgh Steelers football. But I think they scrape it out just by enough in a game where Chris Boswell does Chris Boswell things. I do not think this is one crazy Pittsburgh Steelers win. I think this is a game where at the end of it, Chris Boswell has something like 6 field goals. And you're going, he did it. He did the damn thing. And the Pittsburgh Steelers walk away winners. I think the final score of this one is Steelers 20, New England Patriots 17, in a game that is dominated by number 9. And we are very worried on Monday, but worried with a win. And you could be worried with a win at 2-1 and feel like there's a lot going on in this team. I'm going 20-17. That's the most realistic pick I've had in like 2 years. I can't. I've gotten blowouts the first 2 weeks, and I've just been like, this is ridiculous. Until proven otherwise, I'm tempering that faith. There's nothing that tells me anything's going to be different. You got him 24-21 loss. I got him a 20-17 win. It will be the first deciding of who takes the lead in this season. We are both 1-1, and we're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens. I'm excited for it, as everybody else is. And if it comes down to Boz, I put my faith in the money man himself, Chris Money Boswell. All right. With that said, that's our picks. That's everything on our agenda. We're going to start answering all your guys' questions, so toss them in the chat. But first, we're going to take a quick break here. A word from our boys over at DraftKings. What's up, AST Nation? I've teamed up with DraftKings. The next great touchdown is coming. You can bet on it. And the best way to do so is through DraftKings Sportsbooks, where new customers who bet $5 get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has you covered. Bet live on in-progress games right as they happen. Then use your bonus bets to stay in on the action and bet on DraftKings same game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. And don't worry, if sports betting is not yet available in your state, you're fine. You can still join in on all of the fun with DraftKings daily fantasy sports and have the shot to win cash prizes. New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Sign up using my promo code ALLSteelers and get in on the action. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Shout out our boys over at DraftKings. With that said, we're going to start diving in to your questions. Make sure you toss them in the chat. We'll get to as many of them as we can before we head out of here. Shout out to our members. Shout out to our super chatters. And I want to start out with a shout out to our boy, Jacob. Carl, Mean Cup of Joe, Green Bean Salad Spackler. Jacob, nice job on the show today. I think you need a Woody Page style whiteboard behind you for these lives. New saying each day. He said this yesterday, and we had so many comments that I couldn't get it out there, but it would be awesome. Would be awesome.
I love that. Thank you. I do have a whiteboard upstairs. I do use it a lot for writing. So
whiteboard. So I can definitely loan you. And by loan, I mean give it to you, because they're all in my closet. I use all of them. Or I use like 3 of them, but I have 70. It's all yours, brother. It's all yours. I like the idea. I do like the idea. Shout out our boy Jacob if you missed it. We don't have a name for it yet, but Jacob's keys to victory for Steelers Patriots dropped today. at noon, and it is anywhere you get your podcast, plus the YouTube channel, which keeps us trucking to just too many hurt. Loved Jake's takes this morning. That's the early favorite for the name here. Jake's takes. The only issue I'm running into here is that it's weird to call you Jake. You know what I mean? Like I don't. You are a Jacob to me. You know?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Jacob's takes is weird. It does not
Jacob's
ring.
Jacobs is just not good. You know,
It doesn't ring a bell. No, it's very unsmooth. It's not good whatsoever. But Jake's takes is the heavy favorite on this one. We'll come up with something. We definitely are coming up with something. I'm pretty fired up for him. Surprise, surprise. There's more dropping on Tuesdays, so make sure that you are there for that one. Smootest Buddhist Steelers sold their souls for the 70s dynasty. Let me tell you, we may have missed it, but if that's the case, they did pretty okay. They did pretty all right. You know, to be like, 4? That sounds good to me. That sounds pretty all right. Sounds good to me. Yep. And we just showed up late to the party. That's what, if that's what happened, we just showed up late. And that's on us for being young, you know? Should have been there in the 70s.
Yeah. The generation above us had a grand time. They couldn't wait to sign that deal with the devil, you know, and I think that's fine. I probably would have done the same thing. And you know, here we are. It's 2025, all these years later, and one of the main reasons why I will tell people that the Steelers are better than other organizations is because they won 4 championships in the 70s, right? So like the impact is long lasting. So it wasn't just selling the soul for some sort of immediate, immediate grab. It was for life. It's forever.
Yeah. Forever. Was that the soda?
No. Soda's okay. Soda's okay.
James here. We need to fire our offensive line coach that will fix quarterback, running back, and play calling. I'm so mad I fire my OC and DC on Madden. James is out here firing people for zero. They were just like, dude, we're 6-0. He's like, I don't care, man. Pat Myers sucks. Screw you guys. You're done. I get it. I feel it 100%. 100%. I will say this. Last week, I don't think the offensive line was top 5 issues for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, maybe top 4. Like the defense as a whole was pretty bad. Then you could break that down into the atrocious run game, the abysmal pass rush, and the wide receivers doing absolutely nothing. All of Aaron Rodgers' sacks last week were covered sacks, and then having no run game. Like, which you do put that on the offensive line for sure. For sure, part of that's on the offensive line. But like I'm gonna be. I think the Steelers have bigger issues than figuring out the offensive line right now. I do.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think the answer. I don't think the solution was found, or like I don't think they magically reached elite status.
They still are not good, but
yeah. There's still lot of room for improvement. Let's say it the nice way, but like. It was not, again, like I think I said this a couple of days ago, like Broderick Jones had some nice moments relative to how he performed in week 1. Like that's progress. And I think that's what I keep going back to is like small incremental steps here are like what the coaching staff are absolutely looking for and what feels harder to see on like a week to week basis when you're just watching them play. But it's also just like hard to accept as like a means of actual progress. It doesn't feel like you're doing a lot. If Broderick Jones decreases the pressures from 4 to 2 from an outside perspective, it might not seem that important or impressive, but within the locker room and within the coaching staff, that's a huge sign. That's a huge step forward, especially how he's making that happen. So
yeah,
it's a slow, frustrating trotting along, but I think they will figure out some of this. Not all of it. I understand the frustration, and I also love firing people on Madden.
Hell yeah, do it every year. You're gone, dude. We go 16-0. There are 3 things that are getting replaced every year in Madden. Doesn't matter. We just won the Super Bowl. Offensive coordinator's gone, defensive coordinator's gone, and quarterback gone. Every year, doesn't matter. I need change. I need change. It just needs to happen. Shout out to James, man. And I do want to add this to the end because I don't want to act like I disagree with you. But I don't think Pat Meyer has a job after the season. I think that's and I think that's the end of it. And I it's warranted. It's very, very, very warranted. Ernie, and I hope that this is helping you decide your dinner for tonight, pizza or burgers.
Boigas.
Really?
I had to think about it.
You grew up in Pittsburgh, though. You grew up in Pittsburgh, though. And I'm going to be that guy. Pittsburgh pizza is not good. It's not that good.
You do have that very passionate, like, this is where we disagree, but there's better places, there's better cities for pizza. I will concede that without any sort of hesitation or argument, but there are some bangers. You just can't, like, the problem with Pittsburgh, in my opinion, and here comes a tangent, so just cut me off when you're ready, but like,
I love it.
People will ask you, like, what's the best restaurants in Pittsburgh and stuff like that, and they'll tell you, like, the most basic, ridiculous answers. And it's the same thing with, like, pizzas or burgers. They'll be like, oh, why don't you try Burgatory? It's like, why don't you go to a real restaurant, you nerd? Like, I don't understand why that is the way that is. Same thing with pizza. Like, if everyone just tells you, there's some great pizza here, it's not the best ever, but a lot of it's real dang good, and there's some real dang good burgers as well. So that's my choice.
All right. I will say, Rockaway pizza is good. Rockaway pizza is really good.
Banging, yeah,
banging pizza. But there's Pittsburgh pizza is real thick to me. I'm a thin pizza guy. Thin pizza. I want to be able to eat the whole pie. You know what I mean? That being said, pizzas all day, brother. I love a good burger, man. I love a good burger, but something about pizza that just hits me right in the soul. Right in the soul. Smootest Buddhist. Patriots win 24-6. Steelers give up 100+ rushing yards. Smootest Buddhist is very down on the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. Has been all week, and I'm gonna give him the spotlight here. Smootest, you all know I'm here for you, brother. You know it. I figured out what's wrong with the Steelers offense. It's not just the play calling, no run game, or lack of wide receiver depth. It's everything. The offense just freaking blows. Needs a complete coaching and player overhaul. Wait, we're not done. Smootest, I freaking love you, man. I also figured out what's wrong with the defense. It's not any one thing. It's everything. Time to blow it up after this year. Fire everyone. Fire everyone involved and rebuild.
Okay.
I don't know how you argue it. Like, you don't do this, okay? You don't do either of these things. But I don't know how you sit around and you can't argue it. You can't be like, no, dude, everything's fine. Like, no, it's not. Everything's terrible. The ship is sinking. There are holes everywhere, dude. We are out here with a coffee cup scooping water out of the Titanic like things are fine. You're not wrong, Smootest. You're not wrong. Now, I don't think you fire everybody and get rid of everybody, but I do think that, like, that, yes, everything stinks. Like, there's just no, there's nothing like, oh no, it's just this one thing. No, it is everything. It is everything on both sides of the football, and that's really crazy. Yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah, and I think that's why I don't know if you felt like this, Noah, but I feel like there's been times where I feel somewhat at a loss, where I'm like, man, it would be way easier if there was just one thing that is clearly the thing that is wrong above everything else, and you fix it and everything falls in line. You just can't find that thing. There is just not one, put this piece in the puzzle and then all of a sudden it's a championship team and all the problems are gone. It's so many things.
Yes.
And then it's also all of those things coming together at the right time. And if one thing goes right, maybe something else goes wrong. So it's a weird time. I understand the sort of, like, again, mounting frustration that has been happening so far in the 2025 season. Still early and plenty of time to turn it around.
For sure.
Certainly understand it.
For sure. And look, I hope for me, you, and everybody right now, Smootest Buddhist especially, that this is a good week. Bless light. Steelers will do just enough to keep up mediocrity. It's a bad Friday here. We kept the positivity all week. It's a rough Friday here at All Steelers Talk. I will say that there are some comments in the chat right now that say I'd rather start slow and end fast, and I do like that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I do. Last year the Steelers were Super Bowl champions because Scotty Miller was able to hold a snap while Chris Boswell kicked a field goal. You know what I mean? That was enough to be like, it's over, dude. Did you see what Scotty Miller can do? Everything. Super Bowl champions. If you know what, maybe we just see how bad it could get and then how good it could get by the end. And we ride the roller coaster and maybe it turns out in our favor. Who knows? We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Just too many hearts. What one area do you want to see improvement this week? Which area will we actually see improvement? Also, TJ ends the game with a full belt. That would be so awesome, dude. That would be so if he just
Belly silly.
the belly selly. I love it, dude. One area I want to see improvement in this week with Derek Harmon back is I don't think this is the most boring answer ever, but it's the biggest one, I think, is the run game. Like, you have to be able to stop the run game. You have to. And if Derek Harmon's the answer, show me that he's the answer, and I'd be very excited for it. But it all starts there. Like, if you could run the football on a defense, you're not going to win a football game, like, you're just not. And New England's got this guy named Travion Henderson, and then Ramondre Stevenson, and then Antonio Gibson. They're pretty okay there. That's my one area that I think above everything else, I want to see the Steelers improving.
Yeah, I think that's more than fair. Maybe I'm not even going to. I don't think it's a boring answer at all. I think it's a necessary answer, and mine's not too far off from that. I think I'm looking at the secondary because I think there is.
Yes.
Of the areas that they could maybe improve more quickly, like Derek Harmon is a rookie, to put all of the pressure on him solving things. I don't want to go there 100%, but I do think this secondary, with the addition of Jabril Peppers playing more of an impact role, with Jalen Ramsey, with Chuck Clark, even put it all together, they still are without Joey Porter Jr., but I think they can make some slight tweaks, and they can, limit some. They know the crossing routes are a vulnerability right now. So I think they can maybe find a nice combination to take those away while also increasing the pass rush. We'll see. I think that's what I want to see the most. What I think will actually improve is probably more like offensive consistency. I think we'll just see a more better flowing offense. Last week's felt so like stop and start, so jittery and awkward, and I think we'll see a little bit less of that, and I think that's probably the easiest as well for the team to attain against the Patriots.
Yeah, for me too. I think it's the running game specifically. I see Jaylen Warren getting heavily involved in this one, and I think the Steelers are going to let him build momentum and start to see what he can do on the ground, which I actually think he is capable of doing really good things on the ground, but you have to let him build that momentum, and he has not had it at all this season. Darian Miller, would you draft Taylor Green if he is there? 6'6", 250 fast dual threat. He could run, especially with DK. I like Taylor Green. I also think he's going to be like a later round, first round pick, maybe a second round pick, depending on how stacked things are. I do like Taylor Green. I think he's a lesser commodity in this first round draft, or in this draft in the first round than, I'm a big John Mateer guy. I think he's like the next step below, but I do think he's massive. He runs really well for how massive he is. And he's got a rocket of an arm. He's got to learn how to use the arm, but he's got a rocket of an arm. I'm a big Taylor Green guy.
I get that, and I think that kind of goes to like your mantra, like when it comes to evaluating like college quarterbacks, you're looking at like sort of the raw traits that can then develop into the elite quarterback you want him to be. So, yeah, not a finished product by any means, but as we were talking about 20 minutes ago, a lot of these quarterbacks right now seem like very unfinished products. So, excuse me, I think that's a great option. Don't think you have to worry about getting him in the first round.
No, I agree with that. I don't think he's going to end up being a first round pick. We got some suggestions for the show here. Toss salad. Jake's takes over Punturi's position. This one's probably my favorite because it's hilarious. Jake's wake and takes. which is so awesome. Tortellini
yeah,
salad.
brother.
Release Jacob's show in the mornings and call it Wake Up with Jacob, Steelers news, and more. That's a good one, too. That's definitely a good one, too. We do have to come up with something. We do have to come up with something. Just for ND Joe here, why did we just hear of Jacob's show at the end of yesterday's show? It was barely mentioned. You did good, Jacob. I like hearing about the opposing team that we are facing. Keeps things in perspective. Me and Jacob literally were texting at like 1 p.m. yesterday. Like,
yeah,
it was
so.
like,
Yeah,
it was like, hey, dude, it literally was me texting him and said, hey, dude, any interest in doing your own show twice a week? And he was like, oh, hell yeah. I was like, awesome. You want to start tomorrow? He's like, yeah, dude, definitely. It was like sick. So came together very fast. That's why we are very unprepared for it. But I think those are the best things. Those are the best way to do things, is to just toss it out there naturally and then let it build as it goes. So appreciate everybody who jumped on for sure. Well,
heck yeah.
We'll come up with a name. We got till Tuesday. We'll come up with a name for sure. Tortellini salad. Noah, Jersey has the best pizza. Did you try any when you were here for the game? Yeah, dude. I grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania. We lived our lives in Jersey, and people get really mad at me when I say that Jersey. I don't like Jersey, but I have nothing against Jersey. I just grew, just like people in Pittsburgh hate Ohio. I grew up where everybody in Scranton is just like, Jersey. Ugh, what are we doing there? And I'm like, I know, but I went to the beach every year, and I have family all throughout Jersey, and they do a phenomenal. I think Jersey's got the second best pizza. I think Connecticut's got the best pizza, and then I think Jersey's got the second best pizza. Jersey pizza's fantastic, but half my family's there, so you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, you know what I'm saying? It runs in the blood. Cody Silva, 28-17 Patriots. That'd be a rough one. That'd be a rough one for sure.
I'd rather see them get blown out.
It almost is a blowout at that point. Like,
but that to me, like, and this is like my assumption, and you know what they say when you assume, make an ass out of you and me. But I think what really got me there is like 28-17, you can be within a score, and then you just get like the garbage time extra score against you, and then you're like, that's even worse. Like, if you're gonna get beat, just get absolutely destroyed, in my opinion. Not that it's more fun, but I'd rather it be that than a semi-close game, but on the scoreboard looks like it wasn't at all.
Yeah, it's a tough time. Ryan, we could be worse. We could be Brian always keeping things in perspective, brother. We could be the Browns, dude. We could be the Browns. What are we even talking about? Shout out to Ryan. This was the comment we all needed today. Too many heart at practice. Punturi's playbook. Also another. That could be a good one for the Tuesday. This could be a good one for sure. Punturi's playbook could definitely be it. Not to tease Tuesdays, but I guess we should make the announcement much earlier. Tuesday we'll have another Jacobs episode. They will drop Tuesdays and Fridays moving forward. We're really bad at teasing things. We're just, you know what I mean? We're not good at announcements. We're very bad. We're very bad. We have dinner plans tonight. We still have no idea when that is happening. To be honest with you, I think it's like half confirmed. You know what I mean? But yeah, chances are it's happening. Yeah.
Well, since our wives didn't make the plans, this is the best you're gonna get. So
that's what I'm saying, dude. It's just like we're real bad at this stuff. But too many heart. This is a good one, actually. This is a real good one. Smootest Buddhist. Biggest issues lie in the trenches, though, and it's a good place to start. I agree. I think that's and crazy enough, somehow the defensive trenches are like the worst thing in Pittsburgh right now. And it's just like, what the hell? How did this happen? That's where you've invested so much. The problem is you can't invest more, like you've invested quite a bit in both sides of the trenches. They're just not working, which I'll ask, does that lead back to coaching? Is that where this comes from?
I mean, a lot of it is coaching. I think a lot of it is just like it's that stubbornness thing that we talk about, I feel like, so often. And I hate to be beating a dead horse here, but like there's things like the fact that, in a week, the Seattle Seahawks could, parse through your very basic coverage against the New York Jets and have this really easy game plan to beat you is only an indictment on the coaching, in my opinion. Like, I don't know what else that can be an indictment of. And, I just think if you're putting players in not the best positions and not really finding ways to utilize them, or, just continuing to roll out the same sort of schemes or blitz designs and, all sorts of things without success. Yeah, I think ultimately it does end up falling on coaching. It's not solely and only about that, but I mean, just as it's a good place to start, within the offensive and defensive line and build out, it's a good idea to go all the way up the line, and the line goes all the way up to the head coach here. So, that's kind of how I think of it.
That's a tough place to be, which leads us into Dougie Fresh. If not for Coach T's charisma, would he still have his job? I mean, how is he still sitting in this pedestal? Charisma doesn't win playoff games. There is a part of me. Now, I think Mike Tomlin's a good head coach in the NFL. There is a part of me that constantly thinks if Mike Tomlin didn't start as good as he did in the NFL, he would have been gone a long time ago. The moment that things started to get really bad, Mike T would have been bounced. But the fact that he proved himself so early and then continued to keep the Steelers a competitive team until the playoffs, in my eyes, makes things. Now, there are questions out there like Mark has a question. Answer me. Would Chuck Noll or Bill Cowher sucked? Would they have been given so many chances like Mike has? Like, I do want to point out that when we have this conversation, like Bill Cowher went through some really rough years, and he lost.
So did Chuck Noll.
So did Chuck Noll. Exactly. Like Bill Cowher went a long time and not win a playoff game, or losing AFC championship games, or not making the playoffs at all before he found himself in a Super Bowl. So I don't think I compare and contrast that way. I simply look at it and say, if Mike T didn't start this hot, I do think that the Steelers they wouldn't have fired him, but when at some point his contract went up, they would have moved in a different direction and found somebody new.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair take on that. I think this is like where, and how I love bashing stuff. I love being critical, and
Yeah.
I love pointing out flaws and stuff like that. And I love to, especially about the Steelers, like I love breaking it down in that way. But like, I have two quick thoughts about this. One,
I'm here for it.
as much as I love to bash on the Steelers and Tomlin, like I will always maintain, even if it is contradictory, that Mike Tomlin is an elite NFL head coach. Like, go around and look at how bad some of these NFL head coaches are. Go ahead, take anyone who's listening right now, watching right now, or listens later, like go look at your head coach's win-loss record in his career. He either has one season before it because it's his first time, or it was 6 years before, and then he got fired, and then he got fired again, and then he's a defensive coordinator, and then he got fired again. Because being a head coach that can win in any capacity long term is nearly impossible. And do the Steelers put, coaches just like, do they hang on to them longer than they should? Yeah, of course. But like, that's also the second thought leading me into here. The tradition of the Steelers sort of dictates that head coaches get the longest of ropes, longest of leashes, and they really stick to that. And I think as long as Art Rooney is a part of the ownership, or the Rooney family is the ones in charge of the Pittsburgh Steelers, that'll sort of be the way that they handle head coaches. And I, do what you will with your response to that or how that makes you feel. But like, that is the truth of the matter. So you have Tomlin, who I maintain is a good coach, even amongst and amidst all of the struggles happening already, and that have been happening over the past decade. I also maintain that the Steelers do not want to fire head coaches or really move on from them if they can go through the transitional period and ride the wave up and down, because as we mentioned, they did it with Chuck Noll and Bill Cowher as well. They're doing it right now with Mike Tomlin. It's not that dissimilar from what they did previously.
I agree. And Smootest Buddhist is a great add to this. Noll and Cowher, I'm not going to say that there's a ghost in my house right now, but my coffee cup did just move. Okay. I'm not going to say I'm not going to say it, but I watched it happen. And it definitely scared me a little bit. Noll and Cowher sucked for years before they were good. Mike T had more immediate success. Pick your poison, I guess. Like, that's exactly what it's exactly it. Like, head coaches, there's no head coach in NFL history, maybe except for Belichick, and even Belichick, like at the end was nothing. Like, they went a long time. Brady went 10 years between Super Bowls. 10 years, you know, his last one with New England, and then 10 years before he won one with Tampa Bay. Like it's not as smooth as everybody thinks it is. And that being said, like that's not justifying what's happening here at all. It's just putting it into perspective of what it is for sure. James Tomlin needs AST's cell phone number for a defensive coordinator there. I said it. I'd be a terrible defensive coordinator, man. I'd be terrible because I like these guys. You know what I mean? And I'd be like, Keanu, you're going to be fine, dude. Don't even worry about it. Everything's going to be okay, buddy. You're fine. You're totally fine. Or I like wouldn't like you. And I'd be like, maybe if you gave me a good interview last week, you'd be playing more. Okay, pal? Sounds good. And it just wouldn't work well. It wouldn't work well. It wouldn't work well at all. All right. This is not funny. Okay.
That's fucked up. That's the, I'm gonna say that.
That's
we
not
don't use that word, but that's not nice. That's not nice to do that. That's not nice.
That's not funny. That is not funny whatsoever. All right. We got a couple of
where this man lives, guys. This is not funny.
Not funny. Okay. That was not okay. It's not okay. Got a couple of names here. Carnivore all meat salad. TLC with Jacob Punturi, tables, ladders, and chairs wrestling match. This is what TLC would stand for. Talk live content with Jacob Punturi.
Yeah.
I kind of like that one. William here, Punturi's pointers. I like that one as well for sure. James has got to go with Punturi's ladder rise up. Also a good one for sure.
Unbelievable, y'all.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. The Punturi breakdown. Also a good one for sure. Punturi's points to victory. Also a banger. A banger. Appreciate all these. Justin, the Steelers are the best elite average franchise of all time. Credit Tanisha Rally Flawed YouTube channel. The best elite average franchise of all time. I think in the last decade, yeah. I think it's a pretty good place. That's pretty spot on in the last decade. I don't think all time. I think in the last decade. First, I mean, you got the 70s. They were they were not good for most of the 80s. They're not good at all in the 80s. Then the 90s, yeah, and then it got better. And then you had the 2000s, and then the 2010s early, and then it went back down to riding the wave. So I'd say for the last decade. But I think all time, I think up until the mid 2010s, it was like pretty okay. You know what I mean? Life was pretty okay, you know, not terrible. I feel like.
No, I mean, that feels one. I'm really stuck on the like oxymoronic, use of like elite average. You can't be both elite. You can't be elite at being average. That just feels it's just destroying my brain trying to figure out how to even make sense of that. But I understand the criticism therein lies. I would say that that's just not true because how many teams have won the Super Bowl in the last 25 years? Like 10?
Yeah.
Like, so it's not a high number. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not a league of parity by the numbers.
No, not even close. You could be the Browns.
148. Yeah, exactly. The Browns have them. Yeah, exactly. So, Miami Dolphins went undefeated in the 70s. What happened
in the 70s? They've also gone winless since then. Like that's where we're at here. Again, in the last decade, I think that they're the best above average team in the NFL in the last decade. But I think all time is tough. I think all time's tough. Macaroni salad. If teams overload TJ, overload the opposite side of the defense. I just feel like Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward, Nick Herbig, and possibly Jack Sawyer should just be able to get it done. You know what I mean? Like you should those guys are compensated pretty well. Cam's compensated $3 million more than what he was supposed to be compensated for, unless they continue to suck. You know what I mean? I feel like you shouldn't have to do that. I feel like it's there. Like I feel like it's not like, oh, you're running away from TJ Watt to Marvin Leal and Isaiah Loudermilk. Like No, like no, it needs to. I just feel like they should have the pieces there should just play better. That's my thoughts.
I mean, hard to argue against that, you
Right?
know. Here's my solution: just be better. I don't really, uh, I don't think there's like a schematic answer to like you can't just leave TJ on an island all on the left of the line of scrimmage and then have 10 other guys on the right to sort of make up for it. Like I know that's like hyperbolic, but like I do not know how you actually balance it out. I think what I've gone back to is like you have to actually find ways to either consistency move him around, both like in where he lines up pre-snap and where he ends up post-snap, or you
Yes.
have to just like really get like ridiculous with your and unexpected and unpredictable with your play calling and how that works. Like otherwise the book is just so out on how to defend against the Steelers front seven, and they have to adjust now. So yeah, part of it is just playing better and part of it is being a little bit more creative, I think.
Agreed. Going back to Justin here, everybody was ready to crown the Steelers the best defense of all time after 3 games last year. Now we want to throw them away after just 2 games. Relax. Spot on. It's spot on. It's week 3. Again, am I optimistic? No. Am I patient? Yes. I think it's time to be patient and see what happens. And again, week 5 to me is an early bye week where you could sit down and assess and say, we are screwed or things are going to be okay. Either way, I think we take a breather. Cody Silva, Tomlin needs to be Nick Sirianni. Stay in your lane. I've been saying this for a long time. Mike Tomlin would be fantastic. He'd be Nick Sirianni times 100 if he just played Nick Sirianni's role and didn't actually do anything. The best question I ever watched Nick Sirianni answer was, if you have an offensive coordinator that calls plays and a defensive coordinator that calls plays, what is your job? To be the head coach. Holy what? Are you kidding me? Who would have thought Mike Tomlin would be the greatest just head coach ever? That's what he's good at. That's what he's good at. And he's not good at the rest of it right now. He's not good at the rest of it. Let's finish it off with, go ahead. You got thoughts?
Well, I was gonna say the thing that remains throughout all of it is like the buy-in from the team and the locker
Yes.
room remains, right? Like the
Yeah.
X's and O's we can pick apart and find flaws in relentlessly, and that is alarming. I get that. I can tell you for certain the energy and the attitude, like every day in practice since
Oh,
the
yeah.
loss against the Seahawks, they are still upbeat. They still believe they can come back and be better, and they think that they can be a winning team. So that takes a certain I don't know, charisma like we threw around earlier. It takes a certain something from a coaching perspective to be able to get your team to rally back after a difficult loss. So that's the head coaching stuff that he really thrives at this part of his career. Some of the schematic stuff, he's
No,
not great.
not great with it. So maybe you should just get teams to run through brick walls for you and let coaches figure out how to do that best. You know what I'm saying? Now let's finish it off with Dougie Fresh. Noah obviously has never had a Vinny pie. I haven't, and I'm going to write it down because is Vinny pie in Pittsburgh? I'm
Yeah,
hoping.
yeah, dude. Okay, like, yeah, we'll get him. We'll get him hooked up, Doug. Don't you worry.
Oh, it's right down the road, dude. It's right here.
Yeah, it's not far from us.
Oh, it's Vincent's. Oh, I've had Vincent's. Dude. I've walked in and taken my pizza. My wife's family told me to order Vincent's. They're from North for Sales. So they were like, oh, I was like, I want pizza tonight. My wife got her, no, this was way before that. I don't remember what it was. My wife was staying at her parents' house. I was going home and, I was like, I want pizza. And they were talking about Vincent's. And they were like, oh, yeah, dude, you got to get it, man. Sometimes you'll still get a cook back there that's ashing cigarettes in the pizza. And I was like, oh, that sounds fantastic. I'm into it. So I stopped and they didn't give me any warning about anything else. And I walked in and they handed me a piece of paper with a pizza in it and stapled it in my hands. And I said, this is it. This is where I just leave now with this pizza. Put it in my trunk, came home, terrified that my car was going to smell like pizza for the rest of the time. Opened up the paper and realized that a small child made my pizza. That's what a toddler made my pizza because it did not look like pizza at all. It was good. It was good. You can only eat half of it because the other half of it was not actually pizza. It was no pizza. It was just dough, and then everything else was on this side because the dough just like settled over here. It was good though. Vincent's is like that's like if my brothers are in town, I'm like, oh, we're gonna get some Vincent's. You know what I mean? Just to snag them.
Get a disgusting Vinny pie. I love Vinny pie. I'm not saying that like it's a bad thing, but
no,
the grease that hits your legs is, if you're cold on a cold winter's night, you get into your car, you put that that molten oil upon your legs that has seeped through
it's just so wild to me. I was like, nobody told me to bring a blanket or something to put down on my car. Like, you just let me do this? Like, how did this happen? It was crazy. But I do like Vincent's. Vincent's is definitely not. Vincent's is a cool Pittsburgh staple. That's like a cool place. That doesn't even count in the conversation of if Pittsburgh has good pizza. Vincent's isn't even included. That Vincent's is just cool, and people should go there. So go get a Vinny pie. Maybe I'll go Vinny pie tomorrow night. Who knows? In honor of good old Vinny's. Shout out. All right, guys. That's not Grease. That's Lake Vinny. Shout out the ghost of Lake Vinny. The ghost of Lake Vinny. All right, guys. With that said, we're heading out here. Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Quick announcement for next week. I head to Ireland, so a couple of updates. We're still going to play every day by ear out there. So pay attention, watch the posts, so on and so forth. We're going to try to do as many as we can at that 4 p.m. live hour. Some of them might be pre-recorded depending on what the day looks like. But we're going to try our hardest to make sure that we're going live at 4 p.m. Eastern time every single day. Monday, however, my flight is at 4 p.m. So we will be going live at noon on Monday post-game. It just moved again. I don't want to talk about it. We're going to be live Monday at noon, 12 p.m. Eastern time here at youtube.com/All Steelers Talk to recap the New England Patriots game and so on and so forth. That way I can make my flight, get over to Ireland, and then we'll come from there. We'll also have plenty of videos from out there, so I'm very excited for it. It just did it again. With that said, thank you guys so much. I got to move. I got to get out of this room before something bad happens. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcast. And as always, find all of our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. I hope everybody enjoys another beautiful weekend in the Berg. Peace.